Hi, welcome back to Lakeside Quilt Making Arts. It's a very rainy lake out there today. Glad we're indoors so we can talk about quilting. And today we're talking about the Mars quilt, aka Happy Valley 2.0 from the TV show on Apple called For All Mankind. I've talked about this one a couple of times. Last week we talked about how I had a little bit of a stumbling block with it. I'm not quite sure how to achieve what I need to achieve. I've had an epiphany. We're going to talk about it. Sometimes a girl just needs a good night's sleep. My epiphany, however, takes me to the next stumbling block that I've got to get over, but we'll get to that in just a second, one step at a time. First step, what was the stumbling block? Quickly, it was that I want this to be a round quilt. This red is to symbolize Mars around the civilization, advanced civilization representing Happy Valley 2.0, which right now, if you've ever seen that TV show, they're just like domes and domes and domes that are interconnected and whatever. So it's nothing like what you see here. Of course, it's all, fiction, right? Anyway, this is to represent the fact that the civilization is on Mars and that we're going to be in a bubble so that people can live on Mars. And so we're going to have a dome over it. So we want to represent a dome. So I want to do that by having all this on a circle. So I've got to figure out how I don't want my borders to be straight lines. I want it to arc over, and I want the whole thing to be round. So to do that, and one of my problems is this is upstairs. This is my large design board, and I have to come upstairs. Well, I can't very easily go to my machine downstairs, sew something, bring it up here, see how it looks, and go back and forth, back and forth. And even if I could, I'm still at a little bit of a loss of how to get my curve so that I'm not doing the traditional straight line meets straight line or straight line meets a block where two straight lines meet. I don't want to do that because I think that would take away from the organic look of, what I'm supposed to be representing here, which is all of the layers of rock that is the planet Mars. I want it to be more organic. So how do I have round in a certain shape all the way around and it be a pretty consistently, that radius be one consistent radius so that your perimeter is smooth? How do I do that? Okay, I figured out a way and I'll show you what that is. Hang on. I come up with paper. If I don't want to go up and down the stairs constantly, I'm going to put paper behind the quilt, and I'll do this in sections. I'll draw out what's there, then I will know what my gaps are so I can take sections of the paper downstairs and put that on the design board downstairs and work it out that way downstairs, and then bring it up here in sections after I've completed large sections. Because I'm getting down, it was one thing when I was just creating blocks of Mars rocks, but now I'm getting to where it needs to do something specific. One way is just making it large and then cutting it down, right? Just cutting the shape, which is good, fine, that works beautifully. But getting my curves here, I want to make sure those work out as well. So I think putting paper up and tracing is going to be the approach that would make sense for me. We'll see. I'm going to give it a go. But another problem that I needed to work out is I don't know how to do paper piecing. I'm going to have to figure out how to do paper piecing to do what I want to do. But that's what I'm here for, right? That's the name of this channel is Lakeside Quilt Making Arts, so that we can explore quilt making and the art of it. It's not about me teaching you anything. This is about one lonely quilter's journey of trying to figure it all out. All right, so the other thing I wanted to try to get a handle on was, where's my center point? How much more do I need to build up in order to get my circle? Well, before I started rolling the camera, I did that. And from top to bottom, the maximum point of the top down to the bottom. The bottom is a nice straight edge, but the top is not consistent. There's low points and high points. And I don't remember why I did that. I remember thinking it might be cool if there is inconsistency, because the sky underneath the dome might kind of what's the word I'm thinking about? Dissipate. It might be a little bit weird at the edge of that dome. I'm telling you, I was into it whenever I was designing this thing. I was really enjoying the whole thing because it represents the creativity and the dreaming from my great nephew, Liam. So I bought into it and I started dreaming with it along with him. All right, so 59 inches from top to bottom. And so that means 29 inches. And this is my middle point. This one here, so in the middle of it is my middle point. My ruler is at the 29-inch point. Okay, so that's the top of it, but I want to be, let's say, 4 more inches. 29, 4, 33 inches is where I want to go down to be my center point. Okay, so that's my center point is right here, if that's the top of my quilt up there. That means if I rotate this to the side, keeping it at the center, that's how far over I need to go. See? That means I've got excess in some places, but not enough in other places. All right, that's cool. All right, let's take it the other direction. So we've got enough. Well, that's encouraging. We got enough, we got more to go. Right? All right. It's really encouraging to me to see this. I feel more empowered now. I'm going to get you a little bit closer. There, you can see where I've put a piece of the paper behind this section. I took this one strip that was here and I butted it up over here so that creates kind of a smooth arc right there. Those can be sewn together right there. Okay, so I've got to make a decision. Do I want to curve from there, start curving from there, which means I got to go to this low point, which would mean I need to lower the whole business, because let me find this might work out better. I put a pin where the middle point is. So if that's my high point and that's my middle point right there, you can see what would fill in here. I'm going to have to add more sky here. If I lower it down to the high point down to here, then as it arcs around, it will clear that low point. So that's what I'll do first. Then that means I'll lose some of this over here. I hope you can see. I'm trying to dodge the camera. I think that would make an interesting circle. That's the only place where it's really necessary. All right, maybe that helps. It gives us a little bit of an arc to our Mars rock. That's close enough. Okay. All right. Now we go on over here. We would lose. I'm going to see if you can see. Let me get on this side so I can see what you can see. Yeah. So we can see that we have enough material going on over there that we can cut an arc out of it. Yay. All right. Good. What else did we just learn? We learned that we don't need to fill in much more over here. We need material that goes here. So this needs to arc this way. Yeah, so that's our top point, right? Okay. We just need a little bit here. Looking at what material needs to go from here to the tip of this. I think this is an interesting exercise. How well it's going to work, I don't know. But what I do know is that every exercise teaches me something. Because to begin with, I was thinking, well, I need to understand paper piecing. I might, but I don't know that I do. Just because I'm using paper here doesn't mean that what I'm filling in has to be paper pieced. It's just going to be creating basically a template for me. I would draw that out and then take that piece of paper down and bring it up here. bring that fabric up here. And I can do several of them at a time and take that down there and work on it for a while, and then only make one trip back upstairs, because coming up the stairs is difficult for me. And it's not practical for anybody, you know, who is healthy and, you know, able-bodied all the way through and through. If your sewing machine's downstairs and your quilt you're working on is upstairs and you're doing lots of little bitty pieces, you'd be running a marathon going up and down the stairs all the time. That's not practical. All right, wish me luck. I'm going to give it a go. Trying to be careful to not get any of my Sharpie on the quilt. Trying to hold on to the pin so it stays in one place. I'm not going to mark on the fabric where this stick ends, because it's a permanent thing that I don't want to do just yet. I've got plenty of material that I can cut off. What I'm trying to mark right now is where my exterior perimeter will be on this arc. I will connect the dots. Need to go downstairs and get my fabric markers. Before I go downstairs, I'm going to mark where my fabric lines are. And that way I will know that this is what I'm trying to fill in, is this little streak right here. Does that make sense to you guys? So I need to continue that arc, but I'm going to do that with a fabric pin. Okay, I am equipped with a friction pin. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with this pin, it is Frixion. It is a ballpoint pen. It's called a Clicker 07. It disappears with heat, supposedly. And there have been some people who've said that, well, it comes back after the fabric gets cold. And then I've heard others say, well, my quilts have traveled, been shipped across country where it's really cold, and the friction marks did not come back. I am not entirely comfortable using it on the face of the quilt that will be seen, but what we're marking right now is what will and should eventually be the exterior perimeter of the quilt, and will eventually be covered up by a seam or the binding itself, one way or the other. So I'm pretty comfortable using it in this application, but this made me think about something else. Sometimes you just got to commit to your design. Because right now I'm thinking, do I really want to mark on this? Do I really want to mark all the way over here? Well, if I'm going to make this thing into a circle, yes, I do want to make those marks. Do I want to risk this coming back? And if I don't do what I'm planning to do, and then this is the face of the quilt where these marks are, and then these marks come back, well, you just have to make a commitment. And my commitment is that I'm doing this plan. I'm going to make my arc. Let me find my stick. All right, we got our very exact measurements going on here with this stick. So now I am thinking, I've been worrying about having soft edges at the corner and having a round perimeter, and here I am putting a straight edge on it, on the sides. But I'm okay with that, I think, because the inside is so very vertical. That's all it is. It's just skinny strips. So I'm not going to overthink that part. Just wanted to acknowledge that it has been addressed. All right, so if we've done that, I guess I could go ahead, I could, in theory, kind of fold that down so we can see what it looks like, right? If we do that, is that what we want? If this is our exterior perimeter, then red is in here somewhere. Let's take a small strip and look at that. I like it. Let's step back a little bit and look at it. All right, that was a helpful exercise for me. Sometimes you just got to dive in and start asking questions, and one thing leads to the next, and the plan starts to take place. For me, that's part of the design process. I am just an intuitive artist. I don't have a design background as far as going to school. Just always been an artist, right? But it's all self-taught. So I'm just working things out by asking a series of questions and plodding along. But I'm pleased with this. I'll continue to work on this and show you next week what's come out of it. I think we're going to make some progress now. I'm in a much more comfortable place about the whole thing now. I was feeling intimidated by it, and it was kind of dragging me down. I didn't want to be stalled out on this quilt because it's important to me to get it done for my great nephew. But I didn't know how to proceed and achieve the look I want. And it's not like I've got a big roadmap in front of me now. I just have the tools to find that roadmap. Maybe the biggest part about the creative process is accepting your own ideas as valid enough to try them and to take that risk. Every time I think of the words risk and being, something being hard to do, I think of one of my granddaughters, the oldest one, when she was 4, telling me she was playing an imaginary game that there was a bear after her and she was scared. She goes, "But I'll be brave." And I was in the middle of doing some surgeries at the time that were pretty scary. And I thought, that's exactly what I need to do. I'll be brave. Same thing is implied in the creative process. We got to be bold enough to take that risk, be brave against the challenge, and go down the journey, see where it goes. That's what I'm going to do. We'll see you next week. Thank you very much for being here, spending your time with me. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.